Hi, I'm Robin Sherman, Curator and Museum Manager for the historic Lucknow Mansion at Castle in the Clouds. If you follow our blog, you may have read this week a little bit about how we prioritize restoration work up here at the castle. So today we're going to continue that exploration by giving you a sneak peek of one of our upcoming projects. Before we start any interior restoration projects, we have to make sure that the exterior of the mansion is weatherproof. So in 2020, we completed a full restoration of the mansion's North Tower exterior. Once that work was done, we were able to turn our attention to the interior spaces. There are 2 bedrooms in the North Tower, one on the first floor, one on the second. And our first interior restoration project is going to be on the first floor bedroom, which, if you've visited the castle in the past, you may know as Amy's room. It's called Amy's room colloquially because it is reportedly the space that Amy Plant Van Tassel preferred to stay when she came to Lucknow to visit her aunt and uncle. Officially, this room is called the Blue Room, which gives us a little bit of an idea of what the color scheme may have been. Unfortunately, there are no historic photos of this space. It was rare to photograph private spaces, such as bedrooms, at that time. So we are going to be relying heavily on remaining physical evidence as well as decorating manuals from the period to help us restore this space to a close approximation of what it would have looked like at the time Tom and Olive Plant resided here. So the first step of the restoration process is always an extensive amount of research. We knew that there had been water damage in this room sometime in the early 1980s. So we wanted to get a sense of how extensive that damage was. What we did was pull the wardrobe out from against the wall that we knew had been affected, and this actually gave us quite a bit of information. One, we were able to determine that sheetrock had been put up over the original plaster that was damaged. So we were able to see how much of the wall needs to be repaired. Moving the wardrobe did reveal a couple of pleasant surprises, though. Some evidence of original finishes. At some point since the Plants lived here, the floor was refinished, and because the wardrobe wasn't moved at that time, we're able to see what the original floor color was. This will make determining the appropriate color to refinish the floor during this process much easier because we now have something to compare it against. We also identified what we believe to be the original paint color in the room. Again, because the wardrobe wasn't moved when the rest of the trim was repainted, we have evidence here that will help us create an appropriate approximation of what the room looked like originally. The yellow wallpaper in this room was a much later addition. We believe it was installed sometime in the early 1990s when an extensive amount of redecorating occurred in the mansion. By pulling off this modern wallpaper, we're able to see the original plaster walls and some earlier scraps, such as this piece here, which we think was installed sometime in the 1930s. That's based on the style and motif, as well as some markings that were left on top of the wardrobe in this room by the gentleman that we believe installed the wallpaper. And although this wallpaper is very pretty and very old, it's still not the original wallpaper for this room. Earlier work revealed scraps of an imitation grass cloth paper under the interphone panel. This is what we think would have been installed when the Plants first built the home in 1914, and it's what we will be using to find an appropriate modern version to recreate the appearance in this space. We're lucky to have found so many scraps and traces of original finishes already during the research process. We're not always so lucky when we do restoration here. The room will be closed to the public during the 2021 season as we continue the research process and hopefully start some of the restoration work, including replastering that very damaged wall. If you come up to visit us this season, I encourage you to peek in through the windows, see the progress we're making. Ask us lots of questions about the restoration work. There's a lot of effort and care that goes into restoring this mansion to its original appearance. We couldn't do it without a lot of attention to detail and without support from our visitors. Thank you for your interest in Castle in the Clouds, and I hope to see you here this season.